And we're back. Finishing up on discussion of cognitive dissonance. I'm going to go back here one second. One of the main reasons that psychologists study cognitive dissonance is because they've identified that my behavior can change my belief system. That if I behave in a certain way that I cannot rationalize or justify, the other alternative that I have is to change my belief. And so a very famous experiment was performed by Leon Festinger. And you can go here. I'll make a note to attach that video right beneath this one. But in this famous experiment, I'm going to give you an analogy to the actual experiment. Let's say that I want to increase my enrollment next semester, and I come to you at the end of the course, and I say to you, give you a paper and pencil survey, and find those individuals who really did not like the course. And I pull you into my office one at a time, and I say, I tell you what, I really need you to lie about liking the course. I need you to tell the next group of incoming freshmen that you really enjoyed it, and I'll give you $10 if you'll lie for me. And then you go off and do that, and I give you your $10. And then I'm going to bring you back in 2 weeks and ask you again, what did you think of my course after you've lied about it for $10? I bring another half of you all who don't like the course at all into my office one at a time, and I say, hey, I really need you to lie about whether or not you liked the course, and if you do that, I'll give you $500. And you're more likely to probably to go ahead and say, sure, for $500, I'll do it. And so you go off and you lie and you get your $500, and I bring you back into the office in 2 weeks and ask you again, what did you really think about my course? Festinger found in his research that those who were paid more, their perception didn't change. Those who were paid less to lie actually demonstrated a couple weeks later a change in their overall perception of the course. So if I pay you $500 to lie about my course, that's plenty of justification for most people to lie, and so you don't experience cognitive dissonance. Well, I lied, but I got $500 for it, so no big deal. Those who are underpaid, those who got $10 to lie, cognitive dissonance is strong. Because there's not $10 is not enough justification to lie and about whether or not the course is a good course. And so Festinger found that when there's not enough justification, people's belief systems change. So the $10 liars are going to come back in 2 weeks, according to the theory, the research, and be more likely to have improved their perception of the course. Their belief changed, and so in a sense the brain is saying, I lied about it, but I only got $10. Well, that's not enough money to lie, so I must really have liked the course. Interesting research. You can review that on your own, but pretty powerful. If my behavior can change my belief system, then that's an interesting, important outcome to consider. Next neat theory is a more modern theory. It fits right along with other theories, and of course, we take the good parts of all those theories and can apply them, and they're valid and reasonable. It's a lot of information to show on the slides now. In need theory, McClelland found that people fall into 3 different classifications of the needs that motivate them most of the time. He said there are those with a high need for achievement, there are those with a high need for affiliation, and there are those with a high need for power. Those with a need for achievement, their focus is on awards and trophies and medals, and they have their trophy wall, and they display the accolades that they've achieved over time. And so you provide those people with a heavy goal, a big goal, and you offer them a great reward at the end then their desire for achievement will motivate them pretty strongly. Those who seem to achieve much less than their talents and abilities suggest that they might. McClellan says that they have a high fear of failure, that though they would love to achieve, their fear of failing to achieve stifles their movement forward. So rather than go for an advanced degree in college, rather than go for the in their job, I'm thinking moving forward in their job advancement, they choose to stay in their lower tier job because they're afraid of the failure. They're afraid of getting told no. Need for affiliation would be need for friendship. These are people with high needs for everyone to approve of them. They need people to like them. So people pleasers, McClellan says, have a high need for affiliation. And then those with a need for power. This was found more rarely, but there was a certain subgroup of the individuals that he identified who didn't seem to be motivated to achievement. They weren't afraid of failure at all. And they took great risks when there was a chance that they were going to get power. Likewise, you can think about those people with high power needs. They really don't seem to be affected by people not liking them very much. Patton said, that General Patton in World War II very famously once said, "I don't care if the guys like me, if my soldiers like me or not. I just hope that they never lose their fear of me, because that's what gets them to do what I need them to do." That's a perfect statement for a person with a high need for power. So how do you relate to those individuals? Let's see, if a friend with a high need for achievement, well, you can motivate them and by challenging them to stretch their goals. Offer to help them achieve their goals, and you're going to ingratiate yourself with them. If you have an affiliator, a friend who's a people pleaser, then the best way to maintain that friendship and to encourage them is to offer them safety, tell them what a great friend they are, tell them what you appreciate most about their friendship. Offer them the approval that they desire. For those, if you have a friend who is a power-hungry person, then, especially if you're in a job situation, be careful, because people who need power seek to take other people's power away. So one way to deal with those individuals is to shore up your own source of power, protect yourself from them, and then redirect. Show them other places where they might be able to achieve power. Give them tasks that you don't want to do that bolster their sense of power, and keep them from desiring to rob you of your power. Alright, humanistic theory. Abraham Maslow, I've mentioned this, it's a pretty famous theory, so many of you probably already heard of it. Abraham Maslow was interested he wanted to predict human needs, predict human motivation. And he believed that as human beings, the way life is set up, that we strive to achieve different overall goals in an order. There's an order to what we achieve, to what we strive after. And this was his question: which needs come first? And then are we ever finished? Do we ever get to a point where we say, well, I'm done with everything that I've been motivated to do and I'm not motivated to do anything else? He said no, that there's never an end. So he comes up with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and let's take a look at it. So we're going to build a pyramid of needs, and he said that the first needs that human beings seek to achieve are all physiological. The body needs. So I need to make sure that I have a source of air, and a source of food, and a source of water, and a sense of sexual identity, and outlet for that. The ability to sleep, the ability to maintain homeostasis, and the ability to use the restroom to get rid of waste material. So you think of a baby or a young child. Their parents provide all of their basic physiological needs, and therefore they're okay, they're fine. Think of an adolescent who's moving out. The first thing that they look at, hopefully, that they look at as they get ready to move out is Will I be able to buy food for myself? Will I be able to pay the water bill? Provide a safe place for me to sleep? My first task as I'm becoming independent is to make sure that I can get my physiological needs met. Now that I got my stuff, my physiological needs met, I need to make sure that no one takes them from me, so I put locks on my door. I need a sense of security in my body. One reason a pandemic outbreak is so dangerous is it threatens our physiological safety, our safety needs. No longer do I feel necessarily secure in myself. Safety needs also refer to I need to have some sense of predictability, a schedule to follow, so that I know where I'm going and that I know what I'm doing. Third set of needs, as we move on up the pyramid, we're moving upward in age. So I've got my physiological needs met, I can pay for my food and water, I've got locks on my doors, I've got a place to go, and a job. And Maslow said that he saw people more likely to turn to their friendships and family needs and love needs. So once I can provide for myself, now I'm able to turn towards thinking about providing for someone else. Hit 40, 45 years of age, and the desire to be esteemed by others, the desire to feel good about what I'm doing and that others feel good about what I'm doing. He said that's the next level of need that a person is moving toward. And then finally, he said, for those who are able to maintain the lower needs over time, those individuals have the possibility of becoming self-actualized, of moving towards the need of self-actualization, and that's to achieve, to become who I was destined to become. People at this level are highly moral, are very creative, very spontaneous, they're good at problem solving, they tend to have given up on their prejudices, they lack prejudice, and they accept reality as it is. That's a self-actualized individual. Maslow says that the difficulty of becoming self-actualized predicts that many don't become self-actualized, because let's look at what's happened recently. This is April in the year 2020. For those of you who are listening to this in the future, and we're in the middle of the pandemic of COVID-19, and so what was the first thing that happened? Well, people went right down to their physiological needs and hoarded toilet paper, of all things. So they were up here working on meeting their esteem needs and doing their best in their job and their classes, and they hear that their safety and security needs are threatened because they may not be able to meet their physiological needs, and the first thing they do is they slide right down the pyramid and they start hoarding toilet paper and products like that. Now we've sequestered ourselves in our homes, trying to establish our safety, to maintain and protect our physiological need of not getting sick. The prediction is that as my lower needs are threatened, my energy to achieve my higher needs decreases, and therefore I spend less time in seeking self-esteem and personal achievements. I spend less time on love and belonging and focusing on my relationships with others, and more time shoring up my sense of safety and my sense of ability to achieve physiological security, and no time working on self-actualization. We may find that there are people who come out of this with a greater degree of self-actualization because they're practicing their talents right now, and they're working on their moral behavior and self-exploration. But generally, you'll probably find that you're spending a lot more time thinking about your safety and physiological needs than you are on what people think about you and whether people think you're doing a good job right now. So that's Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You'll find the quote in your slides, and I'll talk real quickly about attaining self-actualization. This comes from a study of people that in the opinion of other people, have reached self-actualization. So it's very subjective. Who's to say who's self-actualized after the fact? Abraham Lincoln, Martin Luther King Jr., Mother Teresa, those people who really were devoted to others. Self-sacrifice seems to be one of the main pinnacles of self-actualization. So those people, when you look at their life, they tended to live in the moment. They tended to be very brave in the risks that they took. They took risks toward personal growth and the growth of others rather than over their own safety. They had put a great deal of trust in their own opinions, in their own self, and their experiences. They were painfully honest, put forward big ideas that threatened the sense of security of other individuals. They were very honest, and they took responsibility for their faults and failures. Many of them were very unpopular. Abraham Lincoln probably achieved self-actualization, and he was assassinated. Martin Luther King Jr., self-actualized, assassinated. Gandhi in India, if you study Gandhi, a very apparently self-actualized individual who was also assassinated. Kennedy. So becoming self-actualized means you tell the truth to the degree that it threatens kind of maybe a person's sense of stability, and you become a pretty unpopular person. In fact, this is a quote by Gandhi: first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you. Here's that unpopularity part, and then you finally win. People on the road to self-actualization trust themselves, and because they're unpopular, they're getting a lot of negative feedback, and so their expectancy has to come from a sense of internal right or wrong. And then know yourself. These individuals were able to move forward without much self-doubt because they knew who they were. They knew their strengths and they knew their weaknesses. One suggestion that many people give is to, as you come to know yourself more, identify your fears and your weaknesses and challenge them. You might have heard, do something you're afraid of once a day, just to challenge that fear and move past it. And then write a mission statement. What's your purpose here? What are you working towards? Write it down and pour yourself into those things. And I'm going to pause here, hard break into the second part of the chapter on emotion.